Warren Buffett's silence speaks volumes. Buffett, the 95-year-old chairman of Berkshire Hathaway, has reportedly hit pause on one of the biggest annual donations in the world, and the reason is turning heads. According to a bombshell report by the Wall Street Journal, the billionaire investor is delaying his usual multi-billion-dollar donation to the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, while waiting for the outcome of an independent review into the foundation's past links to convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. For more than 2 decades, Buffett has donated over $47 billion worth of Berkshire Hathaway stock to the Gates Foundation. But this year, he's reportedly waiting. The review was commissioned by Gates Foundation CEO Mark Sussman and is examining the organization's historical interactions with Epstein. The findings are expected later this summer. According to the report, Buffett could postpone any decision until much later this year, possibly around the time he releases his annual Thanksgiving letter. Neither Berkshire Hathaway nor the Gates Foundation immediately commented on the report. The renewed scrutiny comes as the Gates Foundation continues to face uncomfortable questions over Bill Gates's past relationship with Epstein. Earlier this year, newly released Justice Department files also revealed email communications between Epstein and members of the Gates Foundation's staff, further fueling public interest in the foundation's past dealings. Bill Gates has repeatedly said he regrets meeting Epstein and insists he never witnessed any criminal conduct. He has not been accused of any crime. But for Gates, the controversy simply refuses to disappear. This latest development comes only days after Bill Gates himself went viral over explosive testimony about Jeffrey Epstein, including claims involving his affairs during his marriage and allegations that Epstein used that information to pressure him. Here's what Gates admitted.
What if one of the world's richest men believed Jeffrey Epstein was trying to gain leverage over him using details of his private life? That's the explosive allegation emerging from newly released congressional testimony involving Microsoft co-founder Bill Gates. In sworn remarks made before the House Oversight Committee, Gates identified 2 Russian women with whom he admitted having affairs and described communications from Jeffrey Epstein that he said appeared to contemplate blackmail. The revelations are now reigniting scrutiny over Gates's past interactions with the disgraced financier and raising fresh questions about how Epstein allegedly sought influence over powerful figures. Let's break down what the testimony actually says. According to the transcript released by congressional investigators, Gates was questioned on June 10 about an alleged attempt by Epstein to use information about Gates's personal relationships as leverage. During the interview, Gates identified the 2 women as competitive bridge player Mila Antonova and nuclear scientist Karima Nigmatilina. He acknowledged that Epstein had correctly learned about those relationships and later referenced them in communications that Gates characterized as potentially coercive. Central to the discussion was a draft email dated July 18, 2013, reportedly written by Epstein on behalf of former Gates science advisor Boris Nikolic. The draft contained a mix of allegations involving Gates's personal conduct and references to helping facilitate meetings with Russian women. According to Gates, the document looked like an effort to pressure or gain negotiating leverage. In his testimony, Gates stopped short of saying he had actually been blackmailed. Instead, he carefully described it as something that raised the possibility Epstein had contemplated doing so. As Gates explained to lawmakers, the email appeared to combine factual information with disputed claims in a manner that looked almost like blackmail. He further testified that Epstein later sought reimbursement for expenses involving one of the women, which Gates interpreted as either another attempt at leverage or an effort to re-establish contact. Importantly, Gates maintained that Epstein never successfully blackmailed him. However, he said the available evidence suggested there was a serious possibility that Epstein intended to use such tactics. The testimony also revisits Gates's controversial association with Epstein. Despite Epstein's criminal history, Gates met with him on multiple occasions between 2011 and 2014. Gates has repeatedly stated that those interactions were connected to discussions about philanthropy and global health initiatives. He has also publicly acknowledged that meeting with Epstein was a mistake and expressed regret over the relationship. The congressional transcript comes after Gates informed employees at the Gates Foundation earlier this year that he had engaged in 2 extramarital affairs. His personal life has remained under public scrutiny ever since his divorce from Melinda French Gates. Reports from the divorce proceedings have also suggested Gates acknowledged allegations involving numerous other affairs during their marriage. Those claims have continued to attract attention, although many details remain based on reporting rather than court findings. The Oversight Committee simultaneously released testimony from Leslie Groff, Epstein's longtime executive assistant. Groff testified that she arranged massages for Epstein on a frequent basis, but insisted she had no knowledge that any involved underage victims or criminal conduct. She described Epstein as someone who carefully separated his public image from his secret life. Reflecting on her years working for him, Groff told lawmakers she eventually came to believe he was a monster and characterized him as a master manipulator who deceived those around him. She also addressed why she continued working for Epstein following his 2008 conviction involving solicitation of a minor. According to her testimony, Epstein insisted to staff that the allegations against him were false and that he had been unfairly targeted. Groff said she accepted those explanations at the time, but later concluded they were misleading. Another notable portion of her testimony involved U.S. President Donald Trump. Groff stated that she occasionally arranged phone calls between Epstein and Trump, roughly once every few months, but she testified that she never coordinated massages, flights aboard Epstein's aircraft, or other services for Trump. She added that the communications eventually stopped, although she said she did not know why. The broader release of these transcripts reflects ongoing congressional efforts to examine Epstein's network of associates and determine how he cultivated relationships with influential figures across politics, business, and philanthropy. For Bill Gates, the disclosures have once again placed his past interactions with Epstein under the microscope. While Gates insists Epstein never successfully extorted him, his testimony suggests he believed the disgraced financier may have explored using sensitive personal information as leverage. The documents also provide one of the clearest public accounts yet of how Gates himself interpreted Epstein's actions and why he now views those interactions with deep regret. As investigators continue examining Epstein's extensive network and historical contacts, the newly released testimony adds another chapter to a story that continues to generate worldwide attention years after Epstein's death.